Things are getting crazy expensive. Inflation sucks. It's definitely time for another grocery budget challenge. 36 servings, $36, 6 meals, 4 recipes in the air fryer. And I'm gonna show you how to do it right now. Watch through the end because I'm gonna give you a few little money saving hacks throughout. They don't call me fabulously frugal for nothing. Are you ready? Let's go. My money saving hack number 1 is skip the grocery store. What? One of the best things you can do to save money on groceries is to shop online. I have a few different stores in my area where I can just shop through their app or on their website and then go pick up the grocery order. Most often I do it at Walmart just because it's nice and close and the prices are low. I'm instantly saving money because it's so easy to just stick to my shopping list while I go through the app and add things to my cart. I can price compare and look at the prices per ounce, and I'm just not tempted to buy extra things. You'll see on this grocery order I have almost everything I need to make all of these recipes, and it's rolling in right around $36. I do have a cupboard full of the seasonings that I need, so I didn't add those to my shopping list, and I have some milk, eggs, and some frozen corn, and I'm also going to have some of these ingredients left over that I can use for future meals, so I consider it a wash. Up first, we're going to make some poor man's lasagna. This one is fabulous because you're going to get 12 servings for a total of $10.36. That comes to just 86 cents per serving. I'm gonna make all of it now, but I'll assemble it in 2 parts and freeze the other half for another night. So first, we're gonna get that pasta going. And while that's cooking, I'm gonna start cooking up some ground turkey. And did you know that you can cook ground beef or ground turkey in your air fryer? I've got my Cowboy dual glaze air fryer today. Because I'm making like 4 recipes, I'm gonna save myself some hassle, put some foil here at the bottom, and then throw the grate right on top. Then I'm gonna just put a pound of this ground turkey right in here and kind of crumble it up or like squish it up. And then according to page 36 of my cookbook, we wanna cook this at 380 for about 7 or 8 minutes. Pop that in. And remember, I'm using the dual glaze. That means there's a burner on the bottom, so I won't have to shake this, but I do wanna kind of break that meat apart. So I don't forget, I'm gonna just run it for 4 minutes first. Okay, there we are halfway through cooking. I wanna mix it up because I don't want these huge chunks. And I'm gonna add in my seasoning. Now it calls for a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, but I am all out of Italian seasoning. So I'm throwing in just a mix of parsley, oregano, basil, and a little garlic powder, and some onion powder. Well, that means my pasta's ready. Whatever Italian type seasonings you have on hand. And oops, I'm remembering these holes. Things kind of fall down in there. So I'm gonna spread this out along the edges, and I just lifted that up, grab those chunks of meat. I just don't want them down there cooking in the grease. And we will just continue cooking. I'm gonna crank this up to 400 and give it about 5 more minutes. Pasta's done and we're gonna drain it. Now, a couple things. You're gonna add some softened cream cheese to this hot pasta, but I forgot to, but I have a solution here. We just want to do it while it's still nice and hot. Also, I forgot to mention, you're only going to use about 3/4 of a 16-ounce box or bag of penny pasta. I'm just going to cube up this cream cheese, which you might want to do either way, even if you have it kind of room temperature. And I could probably soften it a little in the microwave, but we're just going to do it this way. Oh, there's the beef, but let's get this cream cheese soaking in the hot pasta. And I'm gonna just cover up that cream cheese with that hot pasta. That's gonna help it melt and get creamy. And while that gets nice and warm, let's check in our meat here. There we go, that's nice and done. I'm gonna just line my cutting board with paper towels, and you could just scoop that meat out, or if you have the basket style of air fryer, you can just lift it out and dump it right onto the paper towel. And I'll just chop it up a little bit more here. And either way, all that grease, well, it dropped right down there to the bottom, which means I could just pick up that gross foil and drop it right into my trash can. And I'll just use a paper towel to grab any grease that I spilled out of that paper towel. And we are ready to start layering. Okay, you can see my cream cheese is mostly melted and I've got it all blended in. We have some cottage cheese we want to add to this pasta mixture. So I'm gonna just jump into a little bit larger bowl since my pot wasn't huge. And we'll just mix that all together. And now we're gonna start layering. You have a couple options. If you wanna cook some of it right now, these Pyrex dishes from Costco, they fit in the Cowboy Pro 1 and also in the dual blaze model. Or you can get like a 9x9 foil pan. You will need to lift up these ledges so it can fit in the Cowboy Pro 2, but it fits nicely here in the dual blaze. So today I'm gonna fill this one for eating now, and I'm gonna use this one for freezing for later. Then I'm gonna put some of the pasta in each container. Then I'm layering on the ground beef or ground turkey, and then put some sauce over the top. Then we will repeat the layering, add the rest of the meat and the rest of the sauce. Now, no, it does not need to look beautiful. Just spread it around. And we will top it with some cheese. And of course, it's always cheaper to buy a brick of cheese and shred it up yourself. Place that cheese right over the top. Now this one is ready to cook. And if you are worried about flying cheese, I actually talk about this problem in my 7 air fryer secrets video. I'm gonna link to that down in the description box below. Make sure you watch that after you watch this video. Before I cook up this lasagna, I'm gonna just preheat my air fryer at 400 just for about 3 minutes. And while that is just preheating for me, I'm gonna show you how to freeze this other pan. You're gonna wanna wrap it up in plastic, just nice and secure. And I'm just kind of pressing out any air. Then I'm pulling out my Costco heavy duty foil here. And I'm just gonna cover this all up, nice and secure. Then you could just label it, excuse me, all I could find is a hot pink Sharpie marker here. And I'm writing all the instructions on there. And then also today's date, which is 6/6/22, which is Logan's birthday. Now that this air fryer is nice and warm, I'm gonna carefully put that lasagna in there, close it up, and just let it sit. Then open it up. Everything's nice and melty, and now it's ready to cook. This recipe has been on my website forever, and so I just have oven directions to follow. If it's not frozen, you bake it at 350 for about 30 minutes, but we know that the air fryer is so much faster than that. So I'm gonna knock that down to 325, or you could run it at 330 if you don't have that 5-minute increment, and we'll do it. Let's start with 15 minutes. Okay, we are about halfway through. I just wanted to check on this because I have not made this one in the air fryer before, and it sure looks gorgeous on top. I'm just going to use my internal temp reader here, and it looks like we do need a little more cook time. So I'm just going to keep an eye on this just to make sure these last few minutes don't mean that my cheese burns, but I think we're going to be okay. Now it's ready. Oh, I like it when it's bubbly like that. So I can hear the sizzle. The cheese is looking nice and brown. Look at that beauty. I just love that you can pull this off. 86 cents per serving. Let's go. And it only took 15 minutes in the oven. Did you know 1 serving of this costs less than a hamburger at McDonald's?
Really?
Yeah. Okay, tell me the stars.
10 out of 10. Or are we doing fries? 5 out of 5.
So good. You want the whole pan?
No, I want the whole pan. We need lasagna more often.
Another way to really make your dollar stretch is to batch cook, just like what we're doing with a couple of these recipes. Not only is buying your meat in bulk gonna save you money, no ingredients are gonna go to waste. You're gonna use them all, and you're gonna save time. You'll have something in the freezer on a night where you don't feel like cooking, and it's gonna save you from getting takeout. Is that more money saved? Yes, sirree, Bob. Now this next one is 8 hearty servings, and I'm gonna freeze half of them. Let's make cowboy dinner. You're gonna need 2 pounds of ground turkey or ground beef, half of a yellow onion, about a cup of frozen corn, 1.5 cups of salsa, a can of black beans that are rinsed and drained, and a cup of medium cheddar cheese or whatever kind of cheese you love. Then you can make your own homemade cornbread or be cheap and easy like me. These are like less than 50 cents a box. And I'm not sure if we're gonna need 1 or 2 for each half of the recipe, but I've got 2 boxes. This time I'm putting all 2 pounds of ground turkey in the air fryer. And I remember that Michelle gave me this tip about blocking these little holes with some foil. So I'm gonna do that and chop up half of that onion. And I can put the onions right on top of the meat. And again, 380. Since I have more meat in there, I'm gonna go 6 minutes first. Oh, it's looking good. I just wanna stir this up, get those onions mixed in a little more. My foil's doing a pretty good job there. And I want to break up this meat a little bit more so it's not like a meatloaf. And then I'm just gonna throw on some salt and pepper. And let's continue cooking that. Let's go about 5 more minutes. Now I'm gonna hurry and make up this cornbread. Just need a 1/3 cup of milk and 1 egg. Mix. And then I'm gonna let that rest. That one's done. Get it out of the air fryer and onto a paper towel, and then just break it up a little bit more. Got my big bowl again. I'm gonna dump the meat right in the bowl. I'm gonna throw in that corn, the salsa, those beans, and just mix all of that goodness together. And because I've got cornbread involved, I do just wanna lightly grease my pan. And I'm gonna freeze half of this mixture in a freezer bag. Yes, I already wrote on it. But what I'm gonna do is just alternate my scoops of meat mixture into my freezer bag and into my dish, just so I can split it up fairly evenly. The second meal is done. This is gonna be perfect when I'm out of town and my husband's gonna make dinner for the kids. If you are gonna freeze, and it's gonna thaw out a lot quicker if you flatten it out. Plus, it's a lot easier to store in the freezer. So if we're just doing half the recipe, you just need to grate about 4 ounces of cheese. That is gonna come to, well, about a 1/2 cup. Look how much that made there on the cornbread. So you could just do 1 box of this corn muffin mix, which, by the way, it yields 6 muffins. And then you're just gonna scoop your batter right on top of this cheese mixture. Just gently spread it around. Yeah, use a wet finger to spread it. Probably will work a little better. Just do your best to cover everything up. Now this recipe comes from Mel's Kitchen Cafe. It's her Cowboy Dinner recipe. By the way, she does have a homemade cornbread recipe on here. The oven instructions say bake it at 40 to 45 minutes. That's for the full pan at 375 degrees. But in the air fryer, we are gonna just crank that down. Now with cornbread, because that can kind of burn easily, especially when we have that heating element so close, I'm gonna pull this down to about 330, and instead of like 45 minutes, we're gonna do 15. How does that sound? I like it. Okay, we are about 9-10 minutes in. That's looking nice and golden. Let's just see if we can tell. It's about 155 inside. Just wanna see if that's cooked through. No, it needs a little more time. So I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit. I'm not gonna cover this with foil, but if you wanted to at this point, you could cover it with foil to keep it from browning much more. I'm guessing we just need a few more minutes. Also, another option would be to you could lower your temp and then maybe cook it longer if you were worried about that top burning. Oh boy, I turned that back up to 330 and I did not check on it anymore, but oh, look at that. That looks really, really good. Let me just dig in the center here a little bit. That looks good. We are good to go. That looks so good. This just reminds me of like chili with cornbread on top. So good. What do you think? How many do you give it?
I'm good. 3 out of 5.
A 3? I'm gonna give it a 4. This one is something that my sister, Melanie, told me all about. It didn't really have a name, so I'm calling it a sweet potato hash. You'll just need a couple sweet potatoes, which are gonna run right about $3. A can of black beans, coming at you at 72 cents. 1 avocado. This one came in at $1.28. And then some Brianna's poppy seed dressing. Now this whole bottle costs $3.50, but I'm only gonna use like a tiny bit of it. So I'm gonna call it 87 cents. That's $5.88 for all of this. We'll get 4 servings, totaling $1.46 per serving. Peel and cube them. Drop them in your air fryer and then spray them with oil. Mix it around. I personally prefer avocado oil, and I have my sprayer linked at airfryertools.com. Close it up, and we're gonna cook this at 350 for about 12 minutes. And if you don't have the dual blaze kasori that has dual burners, you will want to set a shake reminder to flip that around halfway. While that's cooking, I'm gonna prep up these beans and my avocado, and I'm gonna look around and see if I can find any other veggies. That's another way to save money, is use what you already have. I've got some tomatoes that are feeling a bit neglected, so I'm gonna pull one of those out too. And they are done. These have been rinsed and drained. Just add however many beans you would like. This is gonna really bulk up the meal. No, I'm not really being graceful about it. Just gonna throw all the food and veggies on there. The cool thing about this is everybody can just put on what they like, because not everybody wants avocado. Then lastly, the dressing. Drizzle that on top. And oh my goodness, what a treat this is. So healthy, adaptable, and affordable. And the more I eat this, the more I realize how filling it is too. Up next, ham and cheese sliders. This recipe calls for some sweet Hawaiian rolls. You've probably seen the other brand that's a lot more expensive, but because we're making a delicious glaze, it's really gonna up-level the taste, and you can get by with the cheaper type of rolls. And that's just another money-saving hack. Go generic, go store brand anytime you can. There are just a few things that I'm very brand specific about. Otherwise, going with the cheaper brand really does not compromise taste or quality. So you'll need those 12 buns, of course, and then just only like 3/4 pound of lunch meat or even leftover like Easter ham, and then just 8 slices of Swiss cheese, or you could do provolone. I just had this on hand. And then for the glaze, you just need some butter, Dijon mustard, onion powder, salt, pepper, Worcestershire sauce, some poppy seeds, and brown sugar. I had all of those on hand. They're all fairly common. I mean, once you buy poppy seeds, you've got them for a long time, right? This whole recipe comes to $8.28 or 69 cents per slider, depending on what kind of eaters you have at home. They're gonna eat 1, 2, maybe 3 if you've got super hungry teenage boys, because this one is that good. For these rolls, you're gonna just keep them all as one and carefully use a bread knife and just saw through those. It's gonna make everything just easier, I promise. Ta-da! Now it was broken in the bag, so yes, I do have 4 pieces, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and place those rolls, just fit them snugly right into your air fryer basket. Then take the top off, and you're gonna place 4 slices of cheese right on top of the rolls, and then get your deli ham and just spread that out on top of the cheese. You can really do as much or as little as you like. My little one got into the ham this weekend, so I might be a little bit short, but I think we're okay. Then place 4 more slices of cheese on top, then put the tops back on, and for that glaze, melt your stick of butter. Throw in 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, a tablespoon of poppy seeds, a teaspoon of onion powder, and 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a dash of pepper. And then just mix that up. By the way, if you don't like poppy seed, or you think it's gonna freak your kids out, or you just don't have it, this also is amazing without. Now for the really fun part, we're just gonna pour this right over these rolls, and you want to just brush that through so it gets in all those little nooks and crannies. But don't be afraid to just dump all of that on here. I tell you what, it just makes it so good. Now this recipe came from Little Luna. I'll link to it below, but it's for the oven. And it says 350 for 20 minutes covered with foil. Then you take off the foil and do 10 more minutes. But we're gonna do it differently in the air fryer, you know. This time I'm using the Cowboy Pro 2. And I'm gonna bring that temp down to 330. And we'll run it for about 12 minutes. Okay, now check this out. Oh yeah. Can you hear how it's nice and crackly kind of thing? Then you're just gonna wanna cut those apart. And how is it?
It's very good. That's yummy.
Now I have more cheap and easy meals for you right here. And then make sure you know these air fryer secrets. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.